Hey, everybody, welcome back to Homestead HQ. Jason and Shelly here, bringing you another awesome episode.
Hey, everybody, welcome back. Today we'll go over one of our sponsors. One of our sponsors for the show is VacMaster Fresh. You can use the coupon code Homestead to get 15% off your order. And they make chamber sealers, they make knife rolls, a lot of butchery stuff. So click on the link. The link will be down in the description below. Use it to get 15% off your order.
And if you don't know what a chamber sealer is, because when Jason first started talking about chamber sealers, I didn't have any idea what he was talking about. If you don't know what a chamber sealer is, it shrink wraps. It's like the kind of like the food saver thing, but on steroids and does a much better job. When you go into like a butcher shop or if you go to get your meat from a processor or whatever, it's those big things that they use. You lay your meat on there, close the big lid down, it sucks all the air out and makes your meat ready to be frozen. You can also marinate with it, which I think a lot of chefs use the vac masters for that. They'll, like barbecue people, you can put marinade sauce in there, and when it sucks all the air out, it makes that juice penetrate into that meat, and then you can let it set for a half hour or however long you want to, and then stick it on the grill, and it's awesome. There's all kinds of uses for this thing.
And another one of the cool things I've done is we had lasagna left over from our herbal class last weekend. I took that lasagna and put it in portions for like two people and then chamber sealed it and froze it that way. And then what you can do, and I've done this with brisket and pork before, you take it, put it in there and chamber seal it in the bags, freeze it. And then when you want a meal, you can take it and drop it in a pot of boiling water and let it boil for 20 minutes or so. It thaws everything out, warms it all back up, and you don't lose any of the juice or anything. The pork butts I've done, they come out almost just like they were pulled right off the pit, and you don't lose it.
Wow.
It's not dry. You keep all that juice in there. It's pretty stinking cool. There's a lot of uses for those machines.
Very cool.
What's new on the homestead? Our homestead happenings.
So, really, honestly, there's not a lot new on my homestead. There's Randy and I went out of town this last weekend. We went and spent the weekend with his brother and sister-in-law and stayed on the lake with them and just had a good time relaxing and all of that kind of stuff. It was good seeing them. But I've got a couple more broody hens. I don't know what happened this year, but like everybody's doing it. Everybody's on board with making babies. So we're going to have chicks everywhere. And I already have a ton of chickens, but apparently I'm going to have a ton more. What about you?
So you homesteaded on the lake this weekend then?
I did. It was rather enjoyable and it was really fun. I don't know if they're going to listen to this episode, but so it was the first time that John and Candy had bought a new pontoon, and it was the first time they had taken the boat out on the lake. And I've never driven a boat. Randy's never driven a boat. Candy's never driven a boat. But John wanted to inner tube off the back of this boat. And so he put us in charge of driving him around. And it was hilarious because we were going as fast as we could. And he kept hitting wakes or whatever, the waves, that come off the back of the boat. He kept hitting those and flying up in the air, and it'd throw him. And it was really enjoyable. I had a good time.
I tell you, they always say that the two best days on a boat is when you buy it and when you sell it.
That's what I hear.
I had a bass boat, and it was fun. Me and one of my fraternity brothers, we'd go out fishing. The only thing we ever caught when we were fishing was a buzz, and that was it. And then I decided I wanted a ski boat, so we bought a ski boat and had it for several years. But the bad thing was everybody wanted to go on the ski boat, but nobody wanted to help. So I was the one that had to hook it up, put it in,
Right.
get it out. I did everything, and I'm like, this is not fun at all.
Did they even chip in for gas or anything?
No, nobody chipped in for gas. Nothing. Is like, yeah, we're gonna come. We're gonna come do it. And then everybody, and of course, I was a lot younger. All the girls wanted to sit out in the middle of the lake and get a tan. And I'm like, I've been outside all week in the sun. I want to go into a shady cove and sit in the shade and swim. And they're like, no, we need to be out in the middle of the lake baking. And I'm like, no, this is not going to work for me. So no more boats in my future ever.
Well, Randy, John about has Randy convinced that we need a boat. So I don't know if there's going to be a boat in our future or not. We've never had a boat, so I
You
don't
need
know.
you need fence more than a boat.
Oh, I'm getting the fence. The fence is happening. There's no doubt about the fence. That's
What,
happening. I don't
what's
know about the boat, but the fence is happening.
what's the update on the fence?
Well, it's raining like crazy. So we still haven't got all the posts pulled.
Right.
And the last time they were out there, I don't know if I told you this, but the last time they were out there, Jessica got into a nest of deer ticks.
Ooh.
And they were literally all over her. I mean, all up her pant legs, all up her boots. She about lost her ever loving mind. So she came up out of the field at that point, and so they're supposed to come back over and finish that. It hasn't happened yet, but we've been getting too much rain, and I don't want my truck stuck down in the bottom of the field. So it's a process. It'll happen.
Well, I don't blame you. I would have come up out of the field if I got in a whole nest of deer ticks too.
Yeah, she come unglued. She was like freaking out, texting me, losing her mind.
Hey, I even had bug spray on when I came out that Saturday morning, and I still picked 3 or 4 off of me. I felt them crawling up my neck when I was driving home, and I was picking a tick off my neck, and I looked, and I was like, just chuck it out the window.
Yep, they're bad out there.
I hate.
Hopefully, once we get it fenced in and we get the sheep out there, we can just let our guineas go out there and do their thing. But right now, they don't really go out there because it's not safe. So,
well, there's not much been happening at my place. I've been busy with my contracting business, working, doing that, and other stuff that comes up. But nothing much. I'm rotating the animals around. We're finally getting enough rain, and everything is staying nice and green. Unlike last year. Last year, I mean, it was dry as a bone.
Yeah.
This time of year, but I've got the animals. I take them across the driveway into the neighbor's field, and I'm fighting. I do not understand. The neighbor's son will go out there and mow. He's got his little shooting range. He'll go out there and mow, and there's a gate. And I mean, the animals are behind polywire, but there's a gate there. And I'm like, close the stinking gate. Like, he'll go out there and mow or go out there and shoot and just leave the gate open. And it's just an extra barrier to where if the animals get through the
right.
they won't go. And I'm like, yesterday I drove out, the gate was open, and I looked at him and I'm like, close the effing gate, dude. I was like, it's not that hard. And he just kind of looked at me. I don't know if he's stoned out of his mind or what, but he's kind of like, that kind of thing.
I thought that was like a farm rule, like everywhere. Like everybody knows if the gate was shut and you go through it, you shut it back. If the gate's open, then you can leave it open. I thought that was like a thing.
That's for a person with an IQ higher than a potato.
Oh, well, I'm sorry you have those neighbors.
Yeah, that, and I'm fed up. Ginger and her bull calf have got to go. So they're actually up on Marketplace or a couple places on Facebook. The bad thing is the cattle market is high, and everybody wants these cows, but nobody wants to pay for them. And I've had people offer me, I'll tell them how much I want for it. And they're like, whoa. And then they'll offer me something. And I'm like, yeah, I bet you would buy them for that. So they just want to take them and flip them is what it is. And I'm like, we're not going to let this cow get flipped. She's too good a cow for people just to be flipping around.
Well, I'll tell you, if anybody out there is interested in these 2 cows, they are very high quality. I mean, Ginger, she's huge, but she'll come right up to you. She's like the friendliest cow ever. She's got a beautiful coat on her. She's really healthy. And Mark, is that the bull calf or whatever? He's the same way. They've been taken care of. Excellent. I mean, high quality cows right there, especially if you needed them for breeding stock or something. You'd be getting a good deal. Jason's done a good job with them.
Oh, Ginger, you can literally take a grass string and put it around her neck and lead her wherever you want to. So she's a good cow, but that's really all that's been happening with me, rotating the animals around, that kind of stuff. I hadn't had time. I need to finish the stupid greenhouse. You're
like me with the fence.
It's like it'll get done one of these days. So
one thing though, you've been working on the greenhouse a lot longer than I've been trying to get this fence done.
I know, but it's one of those things when you have time, you don't have the money, and when you have the
Yep.
money, you have the time.
Exactly.
So you
Amen.
got to get a good balance of that. But all right, enough boring what's not happening on our homesteads. So what news articles did you get for the day?
Oh my gosh. So I got down this rabbit hole today. This is not so I kind of look for like strange, unusual, funny, goofy things or whatever. But a guy that I work with come in my office and he said, "So have you heard about this?" And he starts talking about it, and I was like, "Oh my god, this is horrible! It's horrible news." So I don't know if any of you all are familiar. There's a YouTube channel called Mr. Beast. And apparently, this is like the biggest YouTube channel on YouTube. He's got like 307 million followers or subscribers. And his channel is mainly geared toward children and like teenagers. It's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of maybe a, um, they do a lot of like challenges and goofy stuff and like do this and you could win $500,000 and all just all kinds of weird stuff. um so it's him, there's him and two other guys that have kind of been on there for most of the time that he's done this channel. And one of them recently came out that he wanted and he wants to be a woman, so he wants to transition into that. And then after that happened, after they released all of that news kind of thing, the they had a Discord, which I have Discord and I'm on a couple channels on Discord that has to do with like Midwest preparedness or whatever. But I don't know a lot about it. And but they have a Discord, like a whole server, and there was some kind of whistleblower that came out and said that the guy that was transitioning had been inappropriately talking to teenage boys on this Discord thing. So all of this, media came out about that, and they're saying that the guy who runs the YouTube channel, and apparently there's been people talking about this on YouTube, and their channel has been getting shut down if they mention like the name of the channel and stuff. So from now on, I'm just going to refer to him as Donaldson. That's his last name. So they're saying that this Donaldson guy was in the Discord chat and knew that this was happening. And now it's coming out that it's been going on for a long time, and there's like been a big cover up and all of this kind of thing. And they're saying that the guy that was transitioning did so he could deflect from any controversy and just call people, say that they're transphobic and stuff like that. It's like a huge mess. And the reason that it caught my eye is because, at our festival, that's something, and at the Coming Up Festival, we're going to have our banquet dinner on Saturday night to raise money for Caleb House, which is, it fights against stuff like that. Getting kids out of trafficking and getting them counseling and whatever. And I'm not saying that there's trafficking involved in this. And I'm not even saying that there's been like physical contact, because I don't know, but there has been. I want to say, I feel like this is just the tip of the iceberg kind of thing.
It probably is.
And they're just they're starting to realize what has been going on this whole time. And it goes to show that it doesn't, I don't know. I don't want to be cynical all the time, but there's been a lot of protection. Even the fact that YouTube is shutting down channels who, show portions of their video or show the Discord chat or, that kind of stuff. And they've been shutting those channels down. They're protecting this guy because he's one of the original YouTubers, that kind of thing, and has made them so much money and all of that. Well, that sucks. Don't protect that. That's evil. I mean, I don't know. It was just really, once I started looking into it, I was like, oh man, Like,
Well,
why? Why you got to do it?
well, they've got to protect it because all the ad revenue and everything. They
Oh,
can
I'm sure.
millions of dollars for the ad revenue and all that kind of stuff and sponsors on the channel and all that. I mean, first, my takeaway on it, first, he's going to transition into being a woman, which AKA you're not going to transition.
Now, this is the friend. This
Yeah.
is not the guy who has the channel. This is the friend. But
Yeah.
go ahead.
This friend, there's no way to transition into being a woman. It's going to be you're a man pretending to be a woman.
Right.
So, and then second of all, wood chipper is a solution to that problem. Straight up, a huge wood chipper, and the problem's done.
Yeah.
I mean, the problem's over. I mean that, but I don't know, and that's to go. Well, it's I don't know, rules for thee and not for me kind of thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean that's great cover to hide behind. You're a transphobe or something like that. So I don't know. All that stuff is just it's going to get us kicked off.
But I know we can't go way into it, but I will say this. 307 million subscribers, and most of those are minors or whatever, kids that follow that channel. If your kid is one of those kids, man, get them off of that. Don't let them be getting on that Discord thing and talking to people that you don't know who they're talking to. And you got to monitor. You can't just turn them loose on the internet because there are predators everywhere. Just don't do it.
Well, that, and then one of the things, roadblocks. My youngest one wanted to play roadblocks on I don't know, PlayStation or the Nintendo Switch or whatever, but it's a game. But you can go in there and chat with other people. And there's been known cases of people in there, 30, 40-year-old guys talking to kids. And it's like, you ain't got no business. I mean, doing that kind of stuff. I mean, so we totally shut roadblocks down on that. And then Minecraft is another one.
Yeah, there was a lot of the things that I was watching today about this whole thing talked about in the comments. There were people talking about the problems with Minecraft, and I'm like, I'm not even going down that rabbit hole because I ain't got time. But I didn't even realize that there were issues with Minecraft and all that stuff. Yeah. And I mean, that's hugely popular. So yeah.
Now you can shut it down with the parental controls and only let certain people in there. Because I know my youngest one plays with a couple of his friends from school, but we've set it up to where those are the only 3 people that he can play with ever. And it takes parental control to add somebody else. So, but these kids are kids that go to his school. I know his parent.
Right.
So it's pretty safe. But with like on Roblox, you really couldn't set anything. So, because anybody can go in there and say, you have to set your birth date and stuff like that. I mean, I can make my birthday to where I'm a 9-year-old kid if I wanted to.
Yep.
46. So, but yeah, that moral of the story, wood chipper and watch what your kids are doing online. I mean,
protect your kids. Don't let them get out there and just don't let them talk to people on the internet. If you don't know who they are, do what Jason did. Make sure you know that they're kids from their school or their parents or whatever, and just don't. It's too dangerous.
Yeah. That, and then, hey, I tell you this much, and this goes along the same lines. This is not I don't know where the article's at, but my wife came in and told me I'm super, and my wife is the same way on watching my youngest son wherever he's at. And because there was somewhere in Kentucky, a lady let her, I forgot, it was 7 or 8-year-old kid go into the men's bathroom by himself. The kid got sexually assaulted in 90 seconds in that bathroom. And my wife came in and told me, she said, I don't care what the looks I get. She said, I will take my son into the women's bathroom until he's older. And like, I don't let him go in the bathroom by himself. I go in and I will walk in the door and stand there until he's done. He'll wash his hands and then we leave together. I'm like, I'm not taking a chance on this crap. I mean, my kids do not get out of my sight hardly at all.
That's what you got to do.
And it's sad that we've got to do that. What other, did you find another news article, or we beat the news to pieces today?
Yeah, I don't. That was too much for me. I didn't find anything else after that. I was like, I don't want to do any kind of rabbit hole like that again. I'll have two next time.
All right. All right. We'll get into the main topic tonight. Uh, we kind of came up and we were talking about it. What are some of the essential skills for self-sufficient living? Uh, I came up with a little bit of a list. We kind of came up with a list together. Uh, we'll start it off. Shelly, I'll shoot it out for you, and you can kind of tell me what you think. One of the ones I've got is gardening and food production. As far as like basics of gardening, year-round gardening, seed saving, stuff like that.
So, and the gardening is a no-brainer. You have to know how to garden if you're going to talk about self-sufficiency. It doesn't matter how much food you stockpile on day one, you've got a limited supply of food, right?
Right.
The thing that's most important about gardening though is that you practice gardening now. You can't wait until whatever happens. You can't wait till the grocery stores run out of food. For one thing, it takes some time. I mean, you might be able to get radishes in 30 days, but that's 30 days. And then what are you going to do? Eat radishes for 3 months? I mean, come on. You've got to one be and a lot of times, even if you're in climates, like higher than 6, if you're in colder places, you can still grow stuff indoors in pots. But you need to be practicing those gardening skills right now. You need to be making the mistakes and learning the tricks in your area and learning your soil and building your soil and figuring out bugs and how to take care of them and all of that kind of thing. You can't just wait until you can't buy stuff at the store and be like, okay, now I'm going to garden. I mean, it's not going to be fun for you.
Yeah, and then and on the same token, a lot of people, a lot of my friends are doing keto, carnivore stuff like that, and they're like, "Well, I don't need to learn how to garden and this and that." Well, gardening will go back if you can grow stuff in your garden for your animals. Then you can feed your animals to make meat for yourself. You can feed your chickens, you can feed your cows, your lambs, your pigs. So gardening, regardless of whether you're a straight up carnivore or not, gardening still has a spot in self sufficiency.
That reminds me of a picture I saw on Facebook. I don't know, like a week ago. It says pigs are magical animals that turn vegetables into bacon.
I've seen,
So you need to be given, figuring out food for your pigs
yeah.
or whatever animals you have.
Oh yeah, and then going right into the animals as far as animal husbandry. Some of the stuff that I've got on there as far learn how to raise livestock, animal health, and then breeding and reproduction of those animals.
And to
Whether
be honest, the whole animal husbandry thing that's been the biggest learning curve for us. It's sometimes I feel like it's sink or swim. And I mean, I think we do a good job, and I read book after book after book, and ask people questions and all of that kind of thing. Go to listen to people talk about raising animals and all of that. But I'm not a vet. You're not a vet. Sometimes things happen, and you still don't know what to do. I mean, at least raising a garden, it's not like it's not like having an animal that you're caring for, a living thing. I mean, I know gardens are living things, but it's, a whole different thing. But um again, it's good to get those skills in now and understand, oh, this is how what happens if I have to pull a calf or you have to pull a lamb. I mean, I've never had to pull anything out of an animal. I've been lucky. Well, we lost a pig. We had a sow. This has been a few years ago that we lost that we came home from work and she was dead and she had been given birth and it was horrible. I mean, it was absolutely horrible. So you need to learn how to do those things now instead of waiting till, again, till everything falls apart and you're like, oh, I'm going to go get a calf and raise a calf on a bottle. And there's even with that, I remember the girl that I work with, Ray, she was talking about, because her husband has, they have a herd of cows. And is there something called black leg? Is that a thing? There, yeah. And so she starts telling me about this and how horrible it is. And I'm like, I never want a cow. Like, I don't even know how to deal with some of these things. You got to get your skills in now.
Yeah, I mean that's the big thing. I mean, I've pulled several lambs. Knock on wood, hopefully my lamb pulling days are over because I've got a ram that throws small babies, and after I got that ram, I have not had a problem with any of my used lambing whatsoever. I'll wake up in the morning and there's babies on the ground running around nursing, and I'm like, this is the ticket. Yeah, I mean, and as far as animal health, just like Bubby talking to you about the pig that day.
Yep.
So, I mean, that's little tips and tricks on stuff like that. Also, knowing gestation periods on animals, that they're going to be pregnant for this long.
Yep.
And if you put your boar in with the sows and you see him breeding one of the sows, you can count on this date. Be looking around at this date. Just like if you put your ram in with the ewes and you see him breeding, you'll know, hey, in X amount of days, I should be looking for lambs. So, but yeah, animal husbandry is a big thing. Next, food preservation. And I've got multiple different ways that I've got on here written down for food preservation. I'll hit those real quick. You've got canning, dehydrating, fermentation, freeze drying, freezing, smoking and salting, and then also Mylar bags.
Yep. That's pretty much, I mean, the thing about, especially with canning, well, I mean, with all of that, you have to understand, well, I started to say you have to understand the chemistry behind it. You have to definitely follow the rules. If you don't follow the rules, like if you, and there are people out there who do what's called heritage canning and all that, and I'm not knocking that. If you know how to do that, if you were raised to do that, if you, were Amish and learned that way or whatever, more power to you. But I am not comfortable enough doing that. So like if I'm going to can potatoes, it's going to be in a pressure canner.
Yep.
And so there are, and all of the rules are to help kill bacteria in whatever it is you're processing. So if you don't kill that bacteria, it's just going to continue to grow as it sets on your shelf, and then you're going to open it up and feed it to your family and make them sick. So, following the canning, the blue ball canning, that's not right. Ball blue book, canning book, following that book and all the rules in that, or even when I've never well, I mean, we have a smoker and Randy smokes, cuts of meat and stuff like that. And he's made bacon before, that's the salting and curing part of it. But even with that, there's still rules about it. You have to, do it properly or you're going to introduce bacteria into your food. Yeah. So get those skills in now while you're able to access all of that stuff. And then you're, good to go if something happens and you can be reliant on yourself.
And probably the easiest two for people to get into is freezing stuff and Mylar bag. And you can go, and this will go into one of our next ones. If you know a little bit of butchery, you can buy, if it's not your animals, you can buy whole cuts of meat and break those down. Meat Dad on TikTok will show you how to cut bigger cuts of meat, primals down. You can buy those. I mean, you can buy a whole pork loin and cut it into chops if you want to, and then freeze the individual chops. Mylar bags, you can still buy bulk food relatively cheap, your staples, beans, rice, flour, all that kind of stuff. You can still buy that stuff relatively cheap and put it in Mylar bags. Canning and dehydrating are going to be about the same money to get into, depending on what type of canner you buy and depending on what type of dehydrator. If you go all out and buy an All-American, you're going to be a lot of money as opposed to a Presto. Just like an Excalibur. I mean, you can spend the big money on an Excalibur dehydrator, or you can go to Walmart and buy the Walmart brand dehydrator. So
I feel like though, if you were going to like, if you were choosing, if you were just getting into this and choosing between the two, I think that you would get bigger bang for your buck going with the canning route as opposed to the dehydrating route.
yeah, for sure.
Um, I mean, you can definitely do a lot more food with that, but it's an investment, and I would recommend people because not only you'd have to buy the water bath canner or the pressure canner, but then you got to have jars and lids and rings and all of that kind of stuff, and it takes up space to store it and all of that. But if you start checking out like estate auctions and or just little auctions that they might have in your area sometimes, or even yard sales, look on marketplace, sometimes you can find jars and canning supplies and stuff relatively cheap because sometimes people have their grandma pass away or whatever and they don't even know what that stuff is and they're just like just get rid of it. Look for it there to help you ease the cost of that because it can get kind of pricey.
Yeah. And then, I mean, the most expensive food preservation to get into is freeze dried.
Yes.
I've got a freeze dryer. Those things are not cheap. But if you're really going to do it, I mean, that's the big thing. If you're going to do it and have that thing run, you can save a lot of money freeze drying your own food.
And
So,
you can freeze dry whole meals and stuff. Like you can fix some extra spaghetti or some extra, like have Chinese night or something like that, and then freeze dry your leftovers and that kind of thing. I mean, that's if you
yeah,
can get one of those, it's a good deal.
yeah. I mean, I've got chicken and dumplings that we freeze.
Mhm.
I've got chili that we've put in the freeze dryer and do stuff like that. I mean, but the freeze dryer, if you're going to use it, it's worth the investment. You can pay for the freeze dryer pretty quick. Uh, Going on, and then right after food preservation is butchery, and that's all the way from like what Meat Dad's showing you, buying a primal from Costco or Sam's, buying that whole primal and breaking it down into individual cuts to save money, and then putting those cuts away. Or that is actually the animals that you raise, taking those, from the field to the freezer.
Yeah, I would highly recommend that there at these festivals there's so many people out there that will teach you how to do this. Now, at our festival, you have to have insurance to run a festival. And because of that, we cannot have we can have butchery classes and show people how we've done a pig, we've done sheep, we've done chickens. Um, this coming up fall, we're going to add rabbits to that. And what
Chicken.
else are we doing? Yeah, we're going to do chicken at the one at the fall.
Yeah,
But
yard coming in for that.
because of our insurance, we can't allow all of the attendees to jump in with knives and start doing that kind of thing. But you can come and videotape and you can, watch the whole demonstration and learn it. But butchery is the one thing that me personally, I have invested my money and to go and to learn that skill because that's something that I felt was important. Randy and I had raised, we talked about this on another episode, but Randy and I had raised pigs and in the past and we had to take them to a processor to get them processed. Well, when you do that, you don't even know if you're getting your own meat back. You don't know what's coming back to you. So if you know how to do it, the money that you save is unbelievable. I mean, it costs a lot to get an animal processed. And once you learn how to process a pig, you can do a cow, you can do a sheep, you can do a deer. They're pretty much really the only thing is different from that is a chicken. So you've got two skills that you need to learn, and they're all pretty much the same.
Yeah, and realistically, what they charge around here to do one pig, to fully process a pig, if you took that money and invested it in a workshop to learn how to butcher an animal, you're breaking even right there.
Right.
And then, and it depends on how big you want to go as far as your processing equipment. I mean, like the knife roll set, I've got a video on Vac knife roll set that it's a 10-piece set. Essentially, it's got everything you need. The only thing that it does not have that I could think of is a meat cleaver. And you really don't need, well, it doesn't have a meat cleaver and you need a bone saw. But
Yeah.
you don't have to have the meat cleaver to do it. I like a meat cleaver for certain things.
I like a meat cleaver. I kind of feel like you need a meat cleaver.
Yeah, but I mean, if you took for what it would take, essentially what it would take to have two pigs processed, if you took that money and invested it in a good workshop and then in some tools,
Absolutely.
after you do two animals, you're even, and after that, you're ahead of the game. Period.
Yeah.
I mean, and that I think I've got a Cabela's grinder, a Cabela's commercial grinder. I think it was about $200 for that grinder, which is not horrible. I mean, it will take meat as fast as you can put it in there. I mean, and it saves so much time. Or you could get the cheap, $70 one from Cabela's if you wanted to. It's going to take longer and it's not going to last as long, but it just depends. I would say after you've done two animals, you're ahead of the game after that.
Yeah. I would agree.
That, and we're going to be offering more workshops. I mean, we just did the chicken workshop a month or so ago. We're going to be doing some more butchering workshops, so be looking out for those. I know we're going to do a pig workshop later on this fall and winter, and then we'll probably go ahead and do a lamb workshop too. So lambs are easy to break down. I mean, honestly, doing a lamb's easier than doing a deer for me personally. So, all right, we beat the butchery all to pieces. Next one, basic carpentry and building skills. So that goes in tools and materials. Know what tools and materials you need, and just basic skills. How to square a building, how to read a tape measure. I hate to say it, how to drive a nail, how to use a skill saw, stuff like that. And I'm not talking about going out and building a $1 million mansion with hip roofs and gables and, just all this crazy stuff. Just a plain darn square, like building a square chicken coop. That's one of those skills that people need to have to be more self-sufficient. Because I mean, I know I've got tons of buildings on my property that we built ourselves. Just doing that. I mean, and y'all got stuff. I mean, Randy threw up the hog hutch pretty quick. I mean,
yeah.
And they don't have to be super great, fancy Taj Mahal things as long as they serve their purpose. I mean, that's a skill that you need is the building and construction side of it.
I would agree. I'm not a carpenter or anything, but usually whatever I can visualize, Randy can build it, and we do those projects together. And they're not like, I'm sure Jason's stuff is square and all that stuff, and I'm sure mine is not. But my animals, they could care less. They're like, oh, we got a house to sleep in. It's cool. All's good. So it doesn't have to be perfect. So I think sometimes when we first started doing this, I was like, it's not even. It needs to be up over here. I mean, it would kind of make me crazy. And then I was like, okay, it doesn't matter. I got to get this up because my chickens need someplace to live, and it's just got to happen. And now I'm kind of over it, and it looks decent from the road. You can't tell.
Oh yeah,
That's what they say at work. They're like, it looks good from my house.
yep, exactly. And going in, I mean, this has got some building aspects in it too. Water collection and purification. Rainwater harvesting, water purification, and storage of that water. I mean, Shelly, you've got rainwater catchment for your pigs that y'all set up.
Yeah, we put gutters on our barn and set up 2 IBC totes. And so all of the rainwater goes into the main IBC tote, and then we ran a PVC pipe to the other one, and it fills up the other one. So that one waters our boy pigs, and the first one waters all of our female pigs. And it works great because it's a whole lot better than going out there every day and with a water hose and making sure that, they have water when pigs dump everything. Like, it doesn't matter. They'll lay out there in the hot sun and be like, dying of thirst, but you put water in the tub and they turn it over. I'm like, oh my God, you're making me crazy. But yeah, the whole water catchment thing was a game changer for us because now we don't spend half of our day running around making sure they've got water 3 or 4 times a day because it's in those great big totes.
Yeah. And we've got, I mean, you've seen my shop. We've got IBC IBC totes on each side of the shop that fill up, that are daisy chained together. The bathroom in here in the shop is run off rainwater. We've got filtration for it, for the purification. It's all rainwater that runs through ceramic filters. It's 99.99, how many ever nines you want to put on it, pure and filtered out. I've drank the water. I've taken a shower with it. No problems with it. But yeah, and then I've got a couple totes set up over by the greenhouse on that side of the house to where I can run to there. Pretty much every building except for one on the property has gutters with downspouts. I don't have all the IBC totes hooked up around the house just because they're kind of an eyesore, an IBC tote sitting in front of your house. But
yeah.
If the balloon goes up in 20 minutes, I can have a tote sitting out there with the gutters ready to go. So it's one of those things, and that goes back to your building stuff, have the supplies on hand. I've got everything ready to go that I could hook all the gutters up for the house and be collecting rainwater. The extra totes are sitting by the shop and you're set and ready to go.
Yeah.
So, and then, I mean, as far as purification, have purification tablets that you can purify your drinking water. You can buy those online. Have a way to filter the water, like a Berkey filter or some kind of ceramic filter. Also have, what was it? I forgot. Well, as far as purification, boil the water, filter it first out of, like a coffee filter, something like that. And then you can boil the water to purify it.
And you can there's plans on YouTube or online that you can find to make like a Berkey type water filter out of 5-gallon buckets.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about Berkey. I don't have a Berkey, but you can make those out of 5-gallon buckets. So it doesn't have to be expensive.
And then, I mean, storing water, have a way to store a lot of water. Cost per gallon, the bigger the units you get, the bigger the containers, the cheaper per gallon they are. But have everything from gallon jugs all the way up to your 275 or 330 gallon IBC totes. And some people even have bigger ones. I just don't have anything bigger than the 330 gallons just because they're kind of a pain in the butt to deal with once you get over that. So moving on. Next on the list, first aid and medical skills.
Medical skills is so stinking important. Like out of this whole list, I think that should be first.
Yeah.
I mean, I know we need water and all of that kind of stuff, but you need somebody in your group, in your house, in your family, whatever. Somebody needs to have medical skills. You need to go get training. I mean, it's just, you gotta.
Yeah. And that goes everything from basic first aid and CPR and emergency response all the way to herbal medicine. So have your basic first aid stuff, have advanced first aid stuff also, and the training to use it. There's great places to get training on any kind of medical stuff. And then also your herbal medicine. I mean, antibiotics and painkillers and stuff like that are going to run out one of these days. We just did. I mean, I think everybody that came to our herbal class last weekend absolutely loved it. I mean,
I did.
I enjoyed it. I was doing a lot of different stuff there, but I've got all the video. I'm going to sit down and watch all the raw video in chunks. It was an awesome time. Leslie will be back. She's going to be teaching a partial, like a half day herbal class at the festival. So if you missed the full day, you can go ahead and pick up the half day that she's going to be doing at the festival. But yeah, right now, medical supplies are still somewhat abundant and they're relatively inexpensive. I mean, gauze, Band-Aids, over-the-counter medicine, Neosporin, stuff like that. Just buy a little at a time, and that stuff adds up fast. You don't have to go out and spend $3,000 on this newest, greatest kit that you're probably not going to use a lot of it. So,
well, and not only that, one of the things that I discovered recently is that where I work at, we have health savings accounts. You can order stuff through Amazon with your health savings account and it pays for that. I mean, that's one of the things that it allows you to get is supplies, bandages and all of that kind of thing. So if you hadn't thought of that, that's an idea as well to save you Well, I mean, it's your money anyway, but
Yeah. And another one, I'm not going to talk too much on this because I'm not a super big person on this, and just because I don't do it a lot, is cooking from scratch. But people, as far as self sufficiency, you need to learn what to do if it doesn't come in a box.
So there was this is funny. Um, there was a post that was put on it was wave3.com, the news station up in Indiana, and they posted about how back at the beginning of the season it was really hard on farmers because they weren't getting any rain. Maybe they weren't getting any rain or they were getting too much rain or something, but they were having problems getting crops out. So it must have been they were getting too much rain. And so they did this whole news article about it. Somebody down in the comments put, I don't understand what the big deal is when anybody can go to Kroger's or Albertsons and get cans of corn or soybeans, whatever they need to do. What's the big deal? Why are the farmers freaking out?
Yep.
And I'm just like, you're one of those people that probably don't know how to cook from scratch, probably don't know where your food comes from, obviously has no idea where your food comes from. But there are all kinds of things that, like, you can make your own cheese from whole milk at the grocery store. I mean,
Yep.
even if you don't have a cow. So there's you can make your own mayonnaise, you can make your own ricotta cheese, you can make your own sauces, you can even make your own brown sugar, regular sugar and molasses.
Yeah.
There's so many things that people just don't know. I mean, we've lost these old skills or whatever that people don't, understand how that works. And um hopefully, again, have somebody go out and get medical training, have somebody else that is like your cooking from scratch person, that knows how to do all of those things. You don't have to do all the things.
Yeah. I mean,
Um,
get your mom or your grandma, go spend the Sunday afternoon with them and be like, "Hey, mom,
Yep.
show me how to cook these whipping cream biscuits." And that's one thing. I grew up, my mother would fix whipping cream biscuits, and those are the only biscuits that I really like. And I'm like, "Show me how to cook these." And she's like, "They're super easy." And I was like, "Yeah, but you've been doing it for like 5,000 years, mom. It should be super easy." But she showed me how to do it, and I can do whipping cream biscuits, and I absolutely love those things. So it's, go spend I mean, it'll be a good time for you to learn. I mean, I wished I still had a grandmother that could show me some of this stuff. I mean, my mom knows how to do all that. And don't get me wrong, I don't cook from a box a lot, but I mean, most of the time my cooking consists of grilling some steaks or grilling some pork chops and just doing that. And I'm good with dinner. So,
well, and their food always tastes better than yours, so go learn from them. Go hook up with them.
yeah. And going on, renewable energy and power management.
This is all you because I know nothing about this stuff.
I'm by no means an expert on solar, wind, water, or anything like that, and I'm horrible at leaving the lights on in the house. So as far as energy efficiency and power management, I suck on those. But renewable energy, you got solar power. Your big ones, solar, wind, and water. Probably not a lot of people have a lot of water power unless you're living by a stream and you can fix a
Water wheel.
yeah, a
Yeah.
water or a hydroelectric dam. I mean, all these guys, have you seen these guys on Facebook? And it's always these Chinese guys that they got a little bitty stream and they pour this little like hydroelectric dam and do all this crap. Like
No,
crap.
I've not seen it.
Yeah, it's like this crafty panda crap. I'm like, who spends this much who spends this much time doing this stupid stuff? I'm like,
Crafty panda. That's hilarious.
yeah, and it's like, okay, but yeah, I mean, probably your biggest one, your easiest one to get into is solar. I mean, we've got I've got solar panels and some solar stuff here that we're getting ready to hook up and play around with. But yeah, renewable resources, stuff like that. That can be a whole topic in its own, and we probably need to cover that sometime. Shooting on with that, basic mechanics and maintenance skills. I mean, vehicle maintenance, small engine repair, stuff like that. I mean, and that goes as basic. I'm not talking tearing down, an engine, tearing down a whole brand new engine and rebuilding it from scratch. I mean, that can be small stuff. Changing your tire, how to plug a tire. I had to plug a tire on my enclosed trailer the other day. It had been going flat for weeks, and I would just air it up, run out for the day, air it up before I came home, and I'm like, I'm done with this. I jacked the trailer up, pulled the tire off, plugged the tire, and it took me 10 minutes to do all that stuff. And I'm like, why did I not do this sooner? But yeah, basic maintenance, small engine repair. I mean, that goes along. How many homesteaders and preparedness people have a generator?
Yeah.
And you forget, if you run any kind of fuel in there that has ethanol, how many times do people forget to shut the fuel off and then run it until it runs all the fuel out and not leave fuel in there? And then the next time they come back out to start their generator, that ethanol's gummed up in there and varnished over. And you're like, great, now I've got to take the whole carburetor apart and clean it. And you're doing that most likely when it's cold and you have no electricity, because that's why you're getting your generator out. So now you're having to rebuild a generator, probably in the dark. You're freezing to death. And
see, I had no idea about that.
Yeah.
I would have totally done what you just said, because I had no idea that you weren't supposed to do that.
Yeah. That, or in all my small engines now, we run non-ethanol fuel. So, but I still go out with the generators and start them about every month to 2 months and let them run for 15 to 20 minutes and just make sure the fuel, everything's cycling good. And that's your pressure washers, your blowers, weed eaters, lawnmower, all that stuff. Just have a basic knowledge of, small engine repair, vehicle maintenance, knowing how to change your tires, stuff like that, how to check the air in your tires, check the coolant in your car, just basic stuff like that. Stuff that dads used to teach their kids all the time.
Right. That they don't teach them now.
No, it doesn't get taught anymore. But by God, they can tell you how to swing a bat, or they can tell you all the scores, the latest football game. But you send dad out there and be like, hey, I got a flat tire. Dad's like, I'm watching the football game called AAA. It's farmed everything out. I don't know what the last baseball game, I don't even know what season it is. I know my son's getting ready to start fall baseball, so I guess it must be baseball season, but I don't know who's playing, none of that crap, but I can show you how to change a tire and check the oil in your truck.
I heard the Colts were getting ready to start practice for the season coming up, so I think that happens sometime in the fall or something. I don't know.
I don't know. I couldn't tell you who won the Super Bowl, so
yeah.
I can tell you the only thing I know sports wise is there's a bunch of satanic people at the Olympics or some shit like that. I heard something about that. So that's the only.
Yeah. The internet lost its mind over that mess. Yeah.
Oh, and now I did watch one video and it intrigued me how they set up the swimming pools, like the swimming pools that they do laps in. Those are temporary. There's a company that travels through the world and they set up those Olympic pools to swim in. Like those things are
really?
Yeah, they knock them down in pieces.
Huh? I didn't know that.
Yeah, they're like 6.5 feet deep. Is as deep as they are. So I'm like, that's cool. Like I watched a time lapse video on Facebook of them setting this pool up. I was like, that's pretty cool. So before we get down the next rabbit hole, last one on the list, I've got some reservations about this, but hunting, fishing, and foraging. I'm of the mind you need to know how to hunt, fish, and forage stuff. But everybody that's like, oh, when the shit hits the fan, I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna hunt. It's like, yeah, everybody and their mom's gonna be hunting.
Everybody's gonna be hunting.
Yeah, look at
especially in Kentucky, right?
Yeah, look.
We hunt.
Yeah, look at the Great Depression. I mean, they nearly wiped out all the rabbits, all the squirrels, and all the deer in the United States. And everybody and their mom was out there hunting and fishing and doing. I mean, there's going to be no limit. So people are going to shoot whatever they want. They're going to shoot. It's like my buddy said, buck, doe, or embryo, I'm going to shoot a deer this year. So there's going to be too much, right? It's a skill to have, but in a grid down situation, it's only going to last so long, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
But now foraging, not a lot of people are going to know as far as edible plants. And this goes back to your herbal medicine, really. Goes back to that. If you know what plants are edible, and especially like what mushrooms are edible and stuff,
Yeah.
the people that are going out and eating shrooms that don't know what they're doing, they're self-selecting out on life because they're going to eat something that's poisonous, that or have a horrible bad trip on something.
Well, and if it's a situation where you have to do that to have food and people don't know what they're picking, they're just going to be like, "Oh, it's a mushroom," and pick it. So I don't know. I kind of think, which I'm not a fan of mushrooms. I don't know. I would really have to be starving to eat a mushroom. It is not my thing. But if there was an abundance of that out there, and like animals were leaving it alone, you probably shouldn't eat it. if like nothing's messing with it, it's not. I wouldn't say it's a good thing.
I'm right up there with you. I despise mushrooms. I will pick it off, pizza, whatever.
Yep.
I'm like, I do not eat fungus or whatever it is. I just despise them. So that's the list that we kind of came up with, people.
You know what? I got a skill to add.
What do we got?
Sewing.
All right.
I think that's a good. So you say, all right, like I ain't doing
What?
that.
No.
But I mean, you need to know. You seriously need to know how to repair your clothes, keep them in good working order. It wouldn't be a bad idea to know how to make clothes, especially if you've got kids and they're growing and all of that kind of thing. But even making quilts and stuff like that. I remember, which I love to make quilts, but I remember my I started saying Meemaw, that's my name. My mammy, she would make quilts and they were always made out of, like those polyester suits they had back in the 60s and 70s, leisure suits or whatever. No joke. There's like, little squares that's made out of that. But she would put them together and that was kind of heavy duty material. So that it would keep you warm. But and then they would tie them off. It doesn't have to be like the intricate stitching or quilting patterns that you see on beautiful quilts. You can just use yarn to tie, put your whatever you've got in the middle of it to for your batting, and then tie them off. It doesn't have to be some intricate design, but I think sewing, there's a lot of application for sewing that people don't take into consideration, that in a situation to make you self-reliant, it's just something you need to know how to do.
I wasn't glossing over that and just saying, okay, I can put buttons back on pants and shirts.
There you go.
And no kidding. I've got one of my friends looking and she has not found one yet. But I told her several months ago, I'm like, I want one of the old sewing machines that you operate with your feet.
The treadle sewing machine?
Yes. And she was like, why do you want one of those? And I'm like, just find me one. So she's on the hunt for one of those.
I was going to say, you can find them. They have them. They're not, especially all the Amish that live around here. It wouldn't be hard to find one. You could probably get one at the Amish auction next year.
Well, I'm going to buy one of those, make sure it works, and then I'm going to put it up in the shop, cover it up, put it up in the shop. So when the grid goes down, I can sew my Amish pants. my tactical Amish pants.
There you go. You got to have all them pockets in the side.
So, what else, Shelly? Have you got anything else you want to put on the list?
No, that's pretty much it.
All right. What have we got next topic on the agenda?
Our next topic is questions and comments. So I haven't gotten any questions, and okay, if you all are listening to this on like a podcast app or something like that, and you're commenting, I can't see those comments. So I haven't figured that part out of it. Have you seen anything?
I haven't seen anything yet. The best way would be to email. And Shelly, what's the email to do that?
Questions at KentuckySustainableLiving.com.
That'll be the easiest way. Questions at KentuckySustainableLiving.com. Send your questions, your comments. We'll read those on the air and answer those for you. So since we don't really have any questions, and
we do have some comments.
Okay, read the comments.
So the last episode that we did which was about the 7 essential items every new homesteader needs. Lawrence, who's in our KSL group, he said, I think somebody, okay. So the comment said, I don't know if I missed it because I was driving while listening, but I did not hear anything about water. And that's one of his biggest priorities. So he finds that that's one of his 7 essential things. And he also said a 5-gallon bucket is the unsung hero of the homestead. I would agree with that.
I
I would
agree.
agree with both of those.
Oh yeah. When you get
And
buckets, there's just so many uses for 5-gallon buckets. It's crazy.
yeah. And then the other one was Coonies are great. Coonies are great said Jason needs to know about a product called True Oil. It's for finishing firearm wood, and it's fabulous product for old handles. I learned about it in 1968 when my daddy had a shop for leather work, ammunition reloading, and firearms maintenance and repair. Also, beeswax is great for wood preservation method, but tends to be a little slick when wet. Both great for the heads of hand tools.
Awesome. I will take a look at those.
Yeah.
Oh,
So that's all I have on comments.
all right. Our homestead tip of the day is brought to you by Hickory Ridge Soap. Yeah, you can get soap. What's the website, Shelly?
20crowshomestead.com.
That's where you can get your soap. Sexy Beast. Do you have Sexy Beast in right now?
I do have Sexy Beast in.
And we had a couple comments. Next episode, if y'all are here, I will tell the soap story on the next episode. I promise. It is well worth the wait. Shelly laughed and she was like, "You are not right," when I told her this story. So
Jason is rarely right. Just FYI for all y'all out there.
But I get told I'm right, so I shut up. So, but yeah, tip of the day. This goes along with our water storage and purification stuff. Have some unscented bleach or pool shock on hand for water purification. It doesn't take but a few drops of bleach per gallon to purify your water. Make sure it's unscented bleach. You don't want to be drinking lavender flavored water, which that would be kind of weird. But pool shock, I don't know the exact recipe on the pool shock offhand. I've got it written down somewhere. If somebody wants to know it, drop us an email. We'll shoot it on the next episode. But keep some bleach around and some pool shock for water purification. The only downside with bleach is it will go bad and lose its potency after a while. So that's the homestead tip of the day. Shelly, fill us in on what's going on with the festival. Tell us some festival news.
So, hopefully by the time this episode comes out, we will have our Friday workshops up on the website. Jason was talking about herbal stuff, herbal medicine, and we were talking about medical training. Both of those are going to be happening on the Friday before the festival. There's going to be a 4-hour suture class and a 4-hour herbal medicine class. And she's Leslie, who does our herbal stuff. Even at the festival, she'll do a foraging walk. She'll take people out and, take you around, show you what plantain looks like, and, all those things that you probably have out in your yard that you don't even know is actually a great herbal remedy. For all of you all that's cutting down or mowing down dandelions, every single bit of the dandelion can be used for food or medicine, like the roots, the leaves, the flowers, all of it. So in a grid down situation, you may not want to mow those things down anymore. Let's see, speakers that we have lined up. We'll have William Bond from the Permaculture Consultant, also from Permapastures Farm. He'll be there. We've got Bill Stoker from Stoker-Matic. He's going to be coming and talking. Sean Terrio is going to be there. He's going to be talking about how to get out of the grid and, still be able to do your electronic stuff and all that kind of thing. We're going to have Jason, who's the Angry Prepper. He's going to be there. He was at our spring festival. Let me tell you, this guy, oh my gosh, he's like, seeing him on YouTube and meeting him in person, he kind of gives, you know, he kind of looks a little angry on YouTube. He kind of gets, riled up or whatever, but he has to be one of the nicest people I've ever met. I really like this guy. He's super, super smart, knows a lot of things. He's a fireman up in New York. He's got great information. You should definitely come out and hear what he has to say. We've got Flomaton Famous, who is the tree guy. He's going to come. What is he doing, Jason?
He's going to be grafting trees and showing
Yes.
graft trees.
Yes, yes, yes. And then we'll also have Leslie, the herbal chick that we love. She did, y'all, her class that she did last weekend. It was fantastic. I learned so much from her. I feel like we learned how to do tinctures, and I think they're called oxymels, all kinds of different infusions, salves, all of the stuff. It was a great class. The Kowalskis from Kowalski's Mountain is Philip and Barbara Sue are going to be coming and talking about bees. And then we've got Brian and Susan from BNS Homestead Radio that are going to be coming and talking about radios, ham radios. So, and we've got more. I'm just not releasing them until I know 100% sure that they're going to be there. But we've got some people lined up.
We got Chuck Peoples with Homestead Medical. Chuck.
Oh, yes.
Then you got Brian and Susan. Jeff Smith, Everyday Prepper.
Yes, he confirmed last week, didn't he?
Yes, Jeff will be there. And then also Byron Russell. Byron is a former Green Beret, and he is an expert with drones. So he's going to be, Byron's going to be there talking about drone defense and strategies for dealing with drones on your homestead, stuff like that. He's going to have some drones there. So he's a super great wealth of knowledge on that. And then,
so is drones on the homestead? Is that like a thing? I've never seen a drone on my homestead.
It depends.
I think it would be more of a thing where you're at than where I'm at, because you live in a city. I don't live in a city.
Yeah. Well, he's going to cover a lot of different aspects on the drones. So I really want a drone, and I'm probably going to purchase one sometime. So I want to drop grenades and stuff like that. So
all righty then.
So
I feel like you probably shouldn't have said that on here.
Fake.
Anyway, if you want more information about the festival, you can go to KentuckySustainableLiving.com. Like I said, hopefully by the time this episode is released, we'll start getting our classes on there, and you can sign up for those classes. Go ahead, when you get onto the website, click the link to sign up for the newsletter, because we send the newsletter out twice a week, and we try to make sure that any relevant information goes out in that newsletter. You can also get your tickets in advance. Tickets at the door are going to be $35 a piece. Children 17 and under are free. But if you get them in advance on the website, you can use email or coupon code email25, and you can get $10 off. You can get those tickets for $25 instead of $35. So go get your tickets today. Go sign up for the newsletter. Do all the things, and we'll keep in contact with you and let you know what's going on, and any new speakers that we get, any new information. That's how you'll find out about it.
All right. We appreciate everybody listening, and we will be back next week. Y'all have a good night.
Bye.